Okay, so this is very exciting. We're starting now Hilchos Purim, new halachos. We're digressing from the halachos of Shabbos, and this is really the first siman in the Torah and Shulchan Aruch on Hilchos Purim. The one before deals with the fast, Taf Reish Pei Vav, but this is the real, actual Hilchos Purim in terms of the Megillah and everything. Taf Reish Pei Zayin. So this, as the Torah writes, is going to discuss the obligation of leaning from the Megillah. All right, at night, and then repeating it during the day. So today we're going to be discussing exactly where does this come from, that what? To lane the Megillah both at night and during the day. Why do we need to do both? What's the explanation? So we're going to have to discuss that and tackle that, as well as what is the hierarchy of mitzvahs? Megillah versus other mitzvahs, which one comes first? So the truth is, these are open Gemaras over here. All right, but we're going to be learning a little bit more than the Gemara. The Gemara teaches us, person is obligated to lane the Megillah at night and to then repeat it and lane it again, or hear the laning during the day. Now, mitzvos asim midivrei soifrim. This is a positive mitzvah. It's a rabbinic positive mitzvah from the rabbis. Midrabon. Umevarchen aleha kemoishe mevarchen al mitzvah dirabanan. We make a bracha on this mitzvah, just like how we make brachas on all mitzvahs that are dirabanan, that are rabbinic. We make brachas on all rabbinic mitzvahs. Comes along the Beis Yosef, and he says that this is a Gemara Perek Kama de Megillah because of Rashi was beyom zeich l'meisha yisokam yimei. Let's take a look at that Gemara before we proceed with the Beis Yosef over here. It's really two Gemaras that this siman is revolving around and based on. It's a Gemara on Daf Gimel Amud Aleph in Megillah, as well as Dalet Amud Aleph. And so far, we've only learned Dalet Amud Aleph. That applies to us. The next halacha, the next sif is going to be pertaining to Gimel Amud Aleph. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Zoom it in for the sake of convenience. Chayiv Odom lekroyas Megillah balayla v'leshnoisa b'yom. It's in the highlighted section in the Gemara on the left. Person is obligated to lane the Megillah at night and repeat it during the day. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Elokei ekro yoimom. I'm going to call out to my God during the day, and he might not answer, but at night, he won't be silent to me. So they thought, based on this idea, that what's over they thought, what does this mean? They thought that this meant, okay, all right, we're going to lane the Megillah at night, and we're going to learn about it during the day. What does this mean over here? So Rashi writes, the people of the yeshiva that listen to this, they thought, they thought we should learn the Mishnayos during the day. When Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, a person is obligated to lay in the Megillah at night, L'shnoisa b'yom means it comes from the walls, the water, if you're curious. Comes from the walls, that's right. They thought l'shnoisa b'yom learns the Mishnayos, Shinun Mishnayos. Oh, Amalahu, Rabbi Yirmiyah said, no, let me shed some light on this and give you some clarity. Let me explain this matter to Rabbi Yechia bar Abba. It's like what people say that what? Avur parshiyosya da. The No. We're going to go over this parsha and then we're going to repeat it. In other words, Rashi over here explains that what? That I'm going to finish this parsha and then repeat it. In other words, it's a full repetition. You have to do the laning of the Megillah at night, but then you have to repeat it again during the day. He explained the statement of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi that what? That it has to be both at night and during the day. Now, this over here is saying that what? That you have to do a full laning twice. This is where it comes from. Now, Nami Amar Rabbi Chelbo Amar Ula. Rabbi Chelbo said in the name of Ula. Yiro. Rashi explains that's where he was from. He was from Biri. Chayiv Adam, what did he say? Chayiv Adam likros Megilah b'layv l'shnois b'yom shneimar l'man yizrecha kavod lo'idam Hashem l'keilam l'odecha. All right, they learn out from a different pasuk of how you know that that the laning has to be at night and during the day, and Rashi goes into it over here a little bit more. So this is how we know that the laning needs to be done at night and during the day. It's an explicit Gemara and it's based on psukim. Oh, comes along Taisvus over here and says, "Wait a second, this isn't our sugya, by the way, that we're learning about right now." All right, but it's a Taisvus on the daf. I mean, you have to learn it. As I like saying, Taisvus is on the daf for a reason. You got to learn it. Taisvus isn't Be'in, it's Bekias. He's on the daf. All right, talk about that another time. Anyways, Omari, even though someone makes a shechianu at night, he has to return and then make a shechianu during the day again. Boom, that's our sugya. Says Taisvus because the main laning of the Megillah happens during the day. Which laning is better, night and during the day? And what would be a potential halachic practical difference between which one's better? Which one would be different? What's an nafka min halacha? All right, we'll see. The kronomi mashma kain dechsev v'layla v'lo dumya li klimer afagav shekoreya beyoyim chayiv likrois b'layla. Even though you're laning during the day, you're obligated to lane during the night. The ikar havi b'yameim, the main laning, says Taisus yet again, is during the day. First, he's saying that what the main pursuit is during the day, and it's implied from the pasuk. Now he's saying a step further. He's saying straight up, no, the main laning is during the day. It's mentioned in the pasuk first, the day. The main suda is during the day. If you have your suda at night, you're not going to fulfill your obligation. By the way, now is going to be the time to talk about it. He's mentioning the suda as a tangent. This is all for David because he's king. We're going to call David a rabbi tangent, right? So the question is now, this year, that Purim's going to fall out on Thursday night and Erev Shabbos. When do we have our Suda? So if you take a look at the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Tuf Reish Sadi Hey, Sif Beis, look over there. Look at the second page of the Mishnah Berurah on the top. He comments on the Ramah over there. The idea is that preferably it seems like you have it before Chatzos. Halachic midday.
Supposed to start before Chatzos.
Yeah, start. And some say you could do later, Mincha Katana, which is gonna be later. Look at myzmanim.com for the exact times on the sheet. But
Katana, right? It's much later.
What'd you say?
That's much later, right? But it's also, we had this a couple of years ago, right? We had it 3 years and a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So the idea actually comes from something that we've been discussing. I mean, we haven't officially learned that siman yet, but we've discussed it a lot, which is siman reish mem tes, which is the halachas of eating on Erev Shabbos, right? Because you might not have an appetite for Shabbos, and that's really what it comes down to. But just an interesting topic. It seems like from the Mishnah Berurah, I just want to point out, it seems actually pretty crystal clear that the Mishnah Berurah holds that l'chachila, you should have the Suda before Chatzos. Pretty clear from Mishnah Berurah. Yeah. After he says that psak, and he says the word lechatchila, preferably you have your Suda before Chatzos, he says, look at like the Yad Ephraim or something. And if you look it up, he's the one who says Mincha Katana. But he doesn't even quote what he says in the Mishnah Berurah. So it seems like the Mishnah Berurah is clearly tilting towards the side of.
It seems like that's what everybody holds.
For Chatzos, yeah.
Told to do that.
Get a little brunch, yeah. Just wanted to point that out. You know, some people are like, oh, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna go here with Mishalach Manos. Seems like this would be interesting. Just give like 2 Mishalach Manos or something, right? I mean, you don't need to. Just give 1 Mishalach Manos, right, to someone. You fulfill your obligation. It's like quick, like you're done with the mitzvah. And I say that because Rishon Zalman Auerbach and others say that it's not so simple. We should be eating before you perform the mitzvahs, right? The Suda, of course, the mitzvah itself is eating, but you have Mikra Megillah, which you already heard after you heard in the morning. Matanos Avyonim, assuming that you did, and now you just have Mishalach Manos left. So just get 1 Mishalach Manos done, and then come back and do the Suda, And then after you could do more Mishloach Manos if you want.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Yeah,
it seems like that's
just
time
do
to do
that. You
shachmanos.
gotta eat breakfast anyways. People are hungry.
Right.
So do a brunch. Ah, the Suda should be flesh. Okay, you have a little meat. I mean, it depends what time when you do it. By the time
How much it
everyone's
It's
around,
simcha, right? So you need basar
yeah,
behind.
yeah, you need basar yain for sure. You need yain for
I'm
sure,
sure you
and
need
you need
yain,
basar.
but basar, yeah, but
So
some people
I
want
mean, so
The yain is
opposite.
before
okay,
mincha.
when we say basar, it doesn't mean that you need to eat half of a cow, right? You could sprinkle a little salami on eggs. I'm saying you could do anything, right? If you're gonna sit down at 11:45, let's say, right, whatever it is. I mean, what time's chatzos? Let's get the facts over here.
It's actually later then.
12:30.
It's late. It's gonna be it's like
I
12.
think
It's
it's
almost
got to
one
be
o'clock.
12:30 because yesterday the earliest mincha was 12:40. I know because I davened that, but the Zmanim might change a little bit by perm.
An
Here's the
hour. It's gonna
Zmanim.
change an
Here,
hour.
Esther. Here. We don't need to guesstimate. Oh, it's actually. Oh, they do a clock change right before perm.
Yeah, it's right before. So
Wow. Okay,
that's the problem.
makes it fast longer. Ooh.
But I mean, then you have a
Ooh.
longer part of the day, I guess, to do your suda. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a double.
Wow, so Shabbos is going to start later that day for the first time. Wow, that's a game changer. Okay, so 104 is going to be midday. We're talking you sit down before 104 and have a Suda. That's definitely not that hard, right? Is that that hard? You could have meat then. What's the big deal? All right.
Hmm. Uh,
Okay.
on
So
a typical party, it should always be before Shkia, right?
typical, yeah, most of the Suda is supposed to be during the day on a regular perm. Yes.
And are you supposed to but so you got to be careful before if you daven mincha gedola, you got to be careful with the suda and drinking, right?
This year?
Yeah.
I don't see how you could. Oh, yeah, the question is Mincha. I think everyone davens Mincha later.
Do true
I like to daven. No, I want to daven mincha
Yeah, like
earlier.
normal Shabbos,
no early mincha.
I
That's
think.
the mincha
I like
guy.
to daven mincha
If you're
earlier.
if you're an early mincha guy, how are you gonna have your suda before chatzos unless you're leaving in the middle?
Right.
You could leave in the middle. You could.
Listen, Farakwa, you have all these,
Yeah.
you get them right next to you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you could leave in the
Just go
middle.
around the corner.
You could. I mean, the question is if you're Isaac mitzvah pater min mitzvah.
Right, you're gonna
That's
fulfill
what
the
it comes
mitzvah
down
later
to.
anyway. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And are you gonna fulfill it worse because you're leaving in the middle of the suda for
Right,
20
right.
minutes? So something to think about. Um,
So what's the second thing that he's
yeah.
saying here? So he's saying Chosem, right? We know that the person of Nisa is the Yom, right?
Yeah. What Taisvis's agenda is over here with all of his
First with the
insightful
Shechian
tangents of
inside,
halacha and hashkafa is you say Shechianu during the day,
right? But then he
even
says,
though you
right,
say it at night. Yeah,
have a created to me of a Kra Nami Mash McCain.
yeah. It's implied from the pasuk that the main pursuit is during the day, because it says v'layla v'lo duma li klamer afagav shekareh b'yoyim chayv l'kos b'layla. Even though you're leaning in the night, you have to then
So how do you see that?
during
I'm
the
just
day
curious
you
how
have
you
to
see
do it
that in
again
the
at night.
pasuk that I'm not silent because it sounds like the morning I'm not answering you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
What are
how
the
you could
what are
tell
the
from the
what are the
pasuk.
pasuk say? Lokaya kar yoyim v'lo ta'ana v'layla v'lo dum yoli.
He's not silent to me.
Yeah. Like
Okay, so to see how they,
learn that up. Yeah. Take a look at the beer on Taisus. Yeah. But the main idea
No, I
from over here
understand the
is okay.
Shechian.
All right, that's the idea. Okay, so this is the Gemara. This is the source. Comes along the base, Yosef, and we're going to be learning about this more. Kosav bo'orchos chayim b'shem Ravid. Nahagu lekroisim evoijoim lel arba'asar. The custom is to lay in the Megillah when it's still day on the night of the 14th. Kedei lahakel al hanushim. We're going to be learning about this more. He says that there's a custom to lane the Megillah while it's still day during the fast.
Wow.
So the laning that we typically do is after the fast, which makes it tough stuff, right? It makes it very tough because it's at the end of the fast, and now you got to sit through 40-minute laning over here, right? So what the Orchos Chaim over here is saying that there is apparently a custom to lane the Megillah even during the day for people that what? There's going to be a girsa change. Just literally means people, but muberes is the pregnant women, so that they don't need to fast more than necessary.
You see how important it is to fast till after the Megillah reading.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay,
another
you're
discussion.
pushing
But
it.
yeah, that's the previous simon. But yeah,
Least
100%. Look at, by the way, the footnotes over here. Some take out enoshim, hanusim, hachalushim, people who are very weak, who are having extenuating circumstances. And they bring over here from the Trumas Hadeshin someone who is slightly as a slight extenuating circumstance, is able to lay in the Megillah when it's still day. What does that mean? From Plaga Mincha and onwards. That's already pretty early. You don't see this happening nowadays so often. Reason is because a lot of those people just break their
They
fast.
break the fast after the tinus before the Megillah reading.
Or if they need to, well, it's still a tinus, someone
Right.
pregnant, whatever. So then, yeah.
I suppose this is one of the most lenient tinus, tanesim, right?
Correct. What's very interesting about this as well is that they only mention the Orchos Chaim, at least. I mean, there's already whole tumult with the text, the proper text, but he doesn't mention menikos, nursing mothers. He only mentions pregnant.
Is that what the aleph is?
No, the aleph is what we just looked up.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no text that has nurses.
Menikos. Interesting.
They are explaining this word, which is cryptic.
Right.
Right. The pregnant woman, that's not so cryptic.
Usually
But
Menikos are thrown in.
usually that's what I'm just pointing out. Whatever. It's not like a mind-boggling chiddush that a person needs to spend time trying to figure out Pshat and Achron about. But it's I'm just talking over here. Anyways, so this is basically Sif Aleph. Sif Beis is gonna go into something else, and we're gonna learn about it anyways. B'sarach adam leizar shel lavatel kriyasa. Person needs to be very careful not to nullify and cancel the Megillah laning, to make sure to hear the entire Megillah laning. All right. Shahari afilu kohanim srichim lavatel lavadasin ki lishma Megillah, because the Gemara Megillah and Dav Gimel relates that even the Kohanim, they needed to stop their avodah in the base of Mikdash, nullify and cancel their avodah in order to listen to the Megillah laning. Now, there's a lot of shilas that go into this. This is very interesting, so we're going to learn about it. Vafilu Talmud Torah sheshkula keneged kol mitzvos, and even learning Torah, which is equal to all of the mitzvahs, right? First Mishnah Maseches Peah, we say after Birchas Torah every single day. If a person could perform a mitzvah through someone else, he doesn't need to do the mitzvah. Someone else can do it on his behalf. Or he could learn Torah. The halach is he sits and learns Torah, Torah Shulchan Aruch, and Yoreh, Siman Reish Memvav, Hilchos Talmud Torah, the Rambam, Hilchos Talmud Torah, all over the place. The reason for this halacha is based on a Vilna Gaon in the beginning of the Shnos Eliyahu, which is also quoted by the Chafetz Chaim, as well as in the Torah Sabayis, many other places as well. That every single word of Torah is a positive mitzvah in and of itself. And he brings a raya from the Mishnah over there in Peah. And therefore, each word of Torah is a positive mitzvah in and of itself. Therefore, in 1 minute, a person is able to basically have 200 positive mitzvahs, as opposed to if a person just doing chesed, it only counts as one mitzvah. That's basically one idea on this. But anyways, you stop learning. It's a bittul, it's a nullification. You stop learning in order to listen to the Megillah. The question is, what do you mean the Megillah is Torah? Many answers to this question. I'm sure we're going to learn about it as we continue with the Simon. One of the answers is it's a qualitative bittul Torah. Like what we're learning right now. This is called the quality learning Torah. This is the right way of learning Torah. This is the way that everyone should be learning Torah. So this is a qualitative bittul Torah. This is what Hashem wants of us, to get our minds to think, to learn the Torah and come out with a proper halacha through learning through the entire sugya. This is the main way to learn the entire Torah, all 4 sections of the Shulchan Aruch. Certainly other mitzvahs you should stop in order to listen to the laning. There is nothing in this world that doesn't get pushed off for Megillah. In other words, Megillah will come before everything except for burying a mace mitzvah. If there's a dead body outside in the street and no one is tending it, then we have to make sure to help out with that. That comes before laning the Megillah. But except for that, first you would bury the mace, dead body, and then afterwards you lay the Megillah. Other mitzvahs get pushed off because of the Megillah. That's why a person needs to be careful with Megillah. Then he says, I'm going to order the halachas. This man so the time to lay the Megillah. Who is obligated to lay in the Megillah. We're actually going to be learning about the time to lay in the Megillah in the Simon as well, even though it wasn't really discussed so much in the Torah, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Who's obligated to lay in the Megillah? Hechsher Kriyasa, Hechsher Tikuna, Birchoseha, Seidu Hayom. All of this is what comes up in Hilchos Megillah. Right? The type of cloth you need, that's good. Fixing it, the brachas, the order of the day, the mitzvahs, the suda, matanos of yoinim, shiluach manos, mishloach manos, the Isser has paid the tiniest prohibitions of eulogy and fasting, asiyas malacha, working on Purim, about that. These are all the topics in a nutshell. It should be pointed out the entire reason that the Mishnah Brew is in this order and the Shulchan Aruch is only because of the Torah. The Torah is the first person to make this order. People just don't realize that because they don't learn the Torah, which is something else to discuss. Uncle Ponim, he didn't really mention the time. He just said you do it day and night. Okay, so they quote over here in the Beis Yosef, the source of this. Is it Beis Yosef? Yeah. They quote over here the source of this. It's the Gemara Megilah, Gimel Amud Aleph, like we said. He quotes the Gemara, goes into it. Look over here. This is basically the Gemara. Then he quotes the Ran. Hmm? The Ran says, "Kosav Ran shmevatlin ma'avodason u'barim l'shmo mikra Megilah afal pi sheishiyus b'yom la'avod avod b'achach l'choisa." Says the Ran, even though you're going to have time later on in the day. You'll say, I don't understand. Why do you stop the avodah? Why did the Kohanim stop working in the Beis Hamikdash? Do the avodah first, and then afterwards you'll have time in the day to lay in the Megillah. So why do you need to stop? Says the Ran, says the Ran, even so, you should stop your avodah in order to come and listen to the Megillah. But according to the Ran, says the Ran, this is specifically referring to if you're able if afterwards you're able to complete the service, the Kohanim were able to complete the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. But if that's not so, so then for sure you would not stop the avodah, which is the daraisa, which is from the Torah, because of laying in the Megillah, which is the Rabbanan. So according to the Ran, this is only referring to if you have time to do both. However, if you don't, for sure the avodah, which is from the Torah, will come before laying in the Megillah, which is the Rabbanan. It's an important Ran. As I say, it's also implied from the Rambam that way as well. Meis mitzvah odev hu the inyan kedima. That's only if you have time to do both, based on what the Rambam says the Beis Yosef. Then you bury the body first. About loshis to make a Megillah, but after you should completely miss laying the Megillah. Very important, Ron. So when the Gemara says mevatlin ma'avod daslan, that means in terms of the order of kedima, what comes first? In Kain, who adin the kishamer mevatlin ma'avod daslan, it should make a Megillah lo bittul mamish ka'amar la kedima. It's not talking about that you completely forget about it and don't do it at all. It's talking about what comes first. V'chinu das etaisus. Because mevatlin kohanim avodas l'shmo mikra Megillah kasham. I'm mevatlin v'achar kachakriya yesh arbishiyos avodah yesh leimer, and for taisus the kavan to shenir ayoyim haviz man avodah haviz manichin or so b'shvil akir shumachi kar le bittul. It's called a bittul because now you're stopping it, you're nullifying it temporarily. Why don't you just do the avodah first and then the laning? Yesh leimer the toiv likroi simsim rishum david tvei persumenisa. It's better to do the laning with the tzibor because it will be more of a publicizing of the nace. Apply to that if you have a later minion. So then for sure you would do the avodah first, according to this explanation of the Ran. Very interesting stuff, no? That's the Beis Yosef on the Simon. That's it. Comes along the Bach at the end.
It seems like also if you have a shear, for a shear, you can learn it here the Megillah afterwards.
Correct?
So you have to time and time.
You shouldn't.
It's not.
Right. Yeah. Because you have a minion afterwards, according to this Ran, 100%. We're gonna have to see if anyone talks about that. Nakat loshin moitzi li la'iri. Da'iri, the meis mitzvah shematza b'derech. Shein la'karbim nei kavod abiyah shelo yehamutul b'bizoyim b'likru l'fika karbim meis mitzvah kodim b'alam yesh lo karbim kam b'yir right. There's a difference between there's a dead body on the street. Are other people taking care of the dead body or not? If no one else taking care of it, you got to take care of it. If other people are taking care of it, no problem. Go listen to Megilah. Right? Any single time there's a scene, you always have a lot of people crowding around. Most of the people are doing nothing other than making things harder because they're not helping. They're just, you got to keep people away. Only the people who are experts.
Like this opposite.
Darkei Moshe quotes the Or Zarua, who says, "Kluras Talmud Chacham to them is the Megilah burying Talmud Chacham comes before laning. Could be even if the other people to bury him. It's just a klur of a Talmud Chacham, so it has a chashivus." Remember last year when I thought that we were going to have time to do this, and for some reason we didn't have time, so I had it sitting in a folder for a year. I said, "Wow, this is going to be a great bach. Everyone's going to enjoy." And now we're finally here. So we're going to see a very Geshnaka bach. Believe me. Bakati kasha. Yes, the bach. Lama herich b'lashono. Why is he so long with his language? And he says, "Because of b'sara kol adam lizar." Everyone needs to be careful. Right? What was the language of the Torah? By the way, you can come up with a lot of good drush on this also. The Torah says, "Sorech adam lizar shalavatul kriyos." So you need to be very careful not to miss the laning of the Megillah because the Kohanim would stop their avodah. Even learning Torah, you should stop. Blah blah blah. Come up with a lot of Torahs of what's so special about Mikra Megillah. That's like a classic Rabbi Olshan thing to come up with in the Areach Lamadim. Just went to this farm store. They said they're having difficulties bringing them to the stores now. I don't know what's going on. Areach Lamadim. What a chavan. Rabbi Olshan said the companies, I don't know what's going on with them. Anyways. Why is the Torah so lengthy? Because of everyone needs to be careful. Why don't you just say the halachas just very concisely, simply? Rambam, like the Rambam writes, and the Smag, the Sefer Mitzvos Gedolos writes, V'shara Poiskim. Venira says the Bach, Lafi Shebedairos of Lohayun Uzarim Likros and Megillah Besak Nasim Atzibur Bayoim Balayla. Oy vavoy! In their generation, they weren't careful to lane the Megillah in Shul with the tzibur during the day and night. Why? They were involved with the preparations of preparing for the Suda Purim, which is a mitzvah, and someone who's involved with the mitzvah is exempt from a mitzvah. That's a sugya in brachos on Yud Aleph, as well as Yud Dalet, as well as it comes up in Sukkah. Oh, it's because of the wife and children. It's difficult to bring them all the way to shul. Like someone once told me with 5 kids, when I try to get all them out of my house at once, like trying to turn a plane around. Look, it depends on the person and the kids. You just got to let them know who's boss. Then it's easier. Once they know who's boss, that's it. Anyways, difficult to get them out. It does take time though to get them out, get them dressed, get them this, get them that, get them. Anyways, ubefra palayla, especially at night. That's why v'lachin hayukorin hamagila b'bateyim b'asar. They said, house minion. We're gonna lay the Megillah in the house. We got 10 people. That was the custom in the time of the Or Zarua. As it says in the Hagos Ashiri in Perek Kama of Megillah and Siman Gimel. And that's what the Torah writes. So you need to be careful not to nullify the laning of the Megillah. Right, so what does that mean? Says the Bach, when the Torah says be careful not to be mevatel, not to nullify and cancel the laning of the Megillah. He means with the tzibor in the shul, with everyone else in the shul itself. You got to prepare for the Suda Purim. Forget about it. You'll do it. Take 1 hour aside to hear the Megillah. Ushar mitzvos, other mitzvos, the Mishlach Manos, your theme, your this, your that. Forget about it. This is the laning the Megillah we're talking about. Shahari afilu kohanim. Even the kohanim would stop their avodah. Are you better than a kohen who's doing the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash? No. Right, but so they were able to continue with the avoda first, and afterwards here the Megillah laning with 10. Says the Bach, afilu hachi srichin levatim avodasim. Even so, they needed to stop their avodah. They needed to stop working the base of Mikdash, the Kohanim. Why? Kedei l'shmo mikra Megillah b'tzibor b'roivam. Ah, there it is. To hear the laning of the Megillah in the shul with the congregation, but with a lot of people. So this could shed light on the Ran that we just saw in the Beis Yosef. Oh, but they needed to stop the avodah. Why? Because they didn't have a minyan afterwards to hear the Megillah. Right? Oh, which implies that they did have a minion, they couldn't. No. Based on this Bach, a minion later might not be good because if there's going to be less people, that minion, that's something to contend with. For Rovan. Why do you need a lot of people at your minion? Mishum dahavitzvei persumenisa. That will be more of a publicizing of the miracle of Purim. More of a persumenisa. Kimosha Kosva, Taisus, Parakam Megillah, like Taisus writes in the first parak of Megillah. If that's so, Kol Shekain Shar Yachidim, especially other individuals. V'amar od v'afilu Talmud Torah, even learning Torah. V'amar, what does that mean? V'od yish lahavi raya. I can bring you another proof why Megillah is so important. From Talmud Torah Shekul Shar mitzvos, which of learning Torah, which is equivalent to all the other mitzvos. And we push aside, we stop in order to hear the Megillah. Mikol Shekain Shar mitzvahs, certainly other mitzvahs you should stop in order to hear the Megillah. And therefore, Sada Kol Adam Afilu Oisek b'mitzvah Rabba, even everyone needs to be careful, even if they're involved with the big mitzvah. Lizaher Ba B'yoyim B'layla L'kroise B'rovami Matzibur V'lavoyim Ishav L'yadav Beis HaKnesset. That's why everyone needs to be careful, especially if you're involved with other mitzvahs, to come during the day and night. To go to shul that has a lot of people with your whole family as well. And that's what the Ran says. They were talking about even if you go in with 10, they would stop the avoid of the Talmud Torah. Not discussed over here, but the Mishnah Brewer brings, he quotes the Shlah. He also discusses this idea in Hilchos Shmona Esrei, which is if you're bringing your children to shul and they're disturbing, you can't do that. Better to go after. That's why what we do every single year, I daven vasikin. Second I come home, my wife goes right out to hear Mekhi Megillah. That's what we do. And at night, same thing. I go first, she goes second. There's a second laning for anyone who has kids for the mothers to go to. So, but for us, for the men, we should be careful to go to shul and to hear it over there. And also these second lanings, a lot of times house minyan, and they get it with women, and it's in a house. No, we go to the shul. Tell my wife, enough of this house minyan. I don't care if it's a couple houses away, a couple blocks away. It's much easier to. Once you're in the car anyways, right? What's the big deal? And even if it does take a couple of minutes, that's part of the reward. So you should do it. Fulfill this Bach. Let's end off with the Shaila, which is it permissible for a minyan who always davens in a house or always davens just on weekends, just a Shabbos minyan? If it's an official minyan, they have a Sefer Torah, could they lay in the Megillah there, lechatchila, or should they be going to a different minyan in general? And same thing with the small shul, right? I'll just answer that basically right now. Small shul, you don't need to relocate because it's a small shul. That's what you always daven, and for other reasons, you have better kavanah there, etc. But the question is house minyan, is that going to be a problem? Is that considered house minyan? Not. So we're going to see. There's going to be chuvas van hagos about that. It's going to be sharat siyum. We're going to delve into that more in Mitzvah Shem next time. Okay, so Mitzvah Shem next time we're going to start the Shulchan Aruch. Everyone should have a wonderful day.
Excellent.
Shkar.
Good stuff.
Yes.